Hello. This is the Paul and Steven podcast, and we haven't done one for a while, so it's going to be a bit of a refresher for us. I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Paul Sharland, and I'm going to introduce my business partner at times, Mr. Steven Leckie. Steven.
Thank you, Paul. Yes, Steven Leckie. I'm a real estate broker here at HausAndHaus, and I'm also an associate director and a team manager.
What we're going to talk about today, because we've got a lot to talk about actually, because there's been a lot going on in the world in the last few months.
It certainly has.
Before we go into anything, we have to mention it because it's what we've been talking about for the last week in a lot of detail, and the last few months in just generally putting it all together. So thank you very much to Amel and the marketing team for the Investment Playbook. I'll just give you an idea. This is just the first line of the first page, and I just think this sums it up. This guide was built the same way as great portfolios are built, with experience, strategy, solid foundations and data sources. So when you consider, that actually wasn't word for word, but that is what the Investment Playbook is telling us. What our advice is that if you're looking in Dubai, you're looking to invest in Dubai or buy in Dubai, one of the things you have to do is read the HausAndHaus Investment Playbook. I'm going to go on to you, Steven, for a bit more detail.
So I would add to that and say that if you are seriously interested in investing in Dubai, then or even just exploring Dubai real estate and trying to get a better handle on what's going on here, this is essential reading. There are three documents that I believe everybody should read before they start to invest in Dubai. One is the D33 economic plan. One is the 2040 urban master plan from the government, and then finally the HausAndHaus investment playbook. Those three documents you'll be one of the best equipped investor in the market today, in my opinion.
Just to say to that, what the difference is with the investment playbook is it's built on data, it's built on actual facts. So all of the information in there we know to be correct because it was double checked and triple checked. So we know you can safely read the playbook, take the information from it to add to your knowledge to benefit you to make a better decision in the future with anything in Dubai. Yeah, that's what we think of it.
And also I'd just like to add,
please, Stephen,
unlike a lot of other documents that I've seen from contemporaries and competitors as well, is that we actually do acknowledge that there is risk, and we talk about that risk in the playbook, but we give answers to that risk and what we should be thinking about, either positive or negative, when you look at this market.
Yes.
Definitely. Do you agree with that?
I would definitely agree with that. So we're going to finish on that because there will be a podcast which will be covering the playbook in more detail. Yes, me and Steven are big fans of it, and we are insisting that all of our clients do read it because it's essential reading. But
also and they will want us to do this, of course, is should you like a copy, you can go on the HausAndHaus website, or you can contact either Paul or I directly, and we'll send it out to you.
Yes, it would be a pleasure to do that. Good reading.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Steven, so I think we'd like to consider that this year so far has been, I'm not talking about Dubai, I'm talking about the world. It's been pretty unprecedented. Obviously, I'd say that all of the news stories from last year went in Dubai's favour. Trump winning, being involved with Musk, the German elections, the UK elections, they all went in Dubai's favour. Obviously, the Labour government in the UK is causing its own problems with the Brits with money. Don't forget Canada also with their problems with Trump. Now we've got the ex-Bank of England boss trying to sort that out for us, which is quite interesting. But I think what we have to take from it is that we know there's been this sort of form of deliberate chaos caused with Trump's tariffs and this and that. But one of the things we can take from what's happened this year with Trump is that the protection that Europe enjoyed since the end of the Second World War has now been taken away. So they had that protection literally from 1945 until 4 to 6 weeks ago. So now Trump has effectively said to Europe, you've got to look after yourselves. They've been spending less than 1% of their GDP on defence, most countries, even Germany, and now they're saying they've got to raise that to 3%. Now, we actually did some figures which were astronomical about the amount of money that's going to cost. We're not even going to say the figures because they sound silly, but unfortunately what we know that means is that with all the money they've got to spend in Europe, all the rich nations, it means there's going to be welfare cuts and it means there's going to be tax rises. So unfortunately, that means there's going to be more poor people, more miserable people, and more rich people who probably don't want to live in Europe anymore. And they're going to be looking for somewhere to go. Now we look at Dubai. Trump loves Dubai. Musk loves Dubai. Dubai is on the map.
Look, Paul, you and I have both been here for, almost over 20 years now.
Yes.
And whatever happens in the world, we seem to, apart from maybe the 2008 global crash, Dubai seems to benefit every single time, whatever troubles are going on in the Middle East, overseas, etc. And this is just another example of Dubai presenting itself to the world and saying, come on down, things are a lot different here. We're much more positive.
They're effectively the safest safe haven.
There you go.
And I say that meaning it.
Yes.
It's a safe haven in the world. Every side, whoever you support in the world, you need the UAE, you need Dubai.
Yeah.
So we are safe, and we know it's a safe haven.
Yeah, and every conversation we're having at the moment, I'm sure it's the same, certainly with me as well, and my team, every conversation we're having is with people who are overseas looking to come to Dubai and are just not happy with the way they are, where things are in their own country.
I know that we've said this before, but we can relate back to it. And me, you and Simon have had the conversation where we go back to 2006, 2007. And I remember that us saying, this is Disneyland in the desert. Will it work? It's an experiment. Let's just go with it. And we just went with it. And we had some amazing times and some down times. But, now we've just it's bowled along. And now you fast forward to now. And Dubai is a major player in the world. It's one of the top 5 cities in the world. Everyone talks about Dubai the same as they talk about London, Singapore, New York. Now we go back to what we go back to before. When you look at the prices of Dubai, they still don't even make the top 50, which still doesn't make sense to us.
You've said it. We've said it so many times before, and
we're getting to the stage where we think we have to tell people 5 times for them actually to take it in.
That's
don't
what
we?
You said, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And that 5th time, I get it now, and then everything seems easy.
I think everything we do every day is having the same conversations, isn't it? And it sounds like we're smug, and which we are, I suppose, a little bit smug about things. I don't know.
I've been having conversations over the last 4 weeks with Europeans, and they're aligning with what we are saying. They are concerned about Europe. They're concerned about immigration. They're concerned about they've got no money. They're concerned about the loss of American support. But all of these conversations is making them lean more towards Dubai. Just announced, I think last night, we've got Dulwich College coming here now. Harrow's coming here. We've got the top schools in the world who are coming to Dubai. You look at all these things which are happening.
And interestingly, you say that. I've had 2 instances recently where I have had some very large investors who have decided to come and move here with their families. They've almost stepped into Dubai saying, right, this is the time. And then they've had a problem getting their kids into schools.
Really?
So they've had to wait. And now they put off the whole move until maybe next year.
Yeah.
But they will get the kids into school, and maybe they could get them into a school, but not the ones that they want them to get into.
And that was never a problem before. And I know I've said this 10 times, but it's just to reiterate it. In 2005, there was 17 international schools. There's 230 today, and they're building another 100 or another 90 over the next 2 years.
One of the things in the playbook it actually mentions in the last 5 years, there's been a 42% increase in international schools here in Dubai.
Really?
42%.
And that's going to continue.
I mean, I can't remember the stats on numbers of businesses that have opened here in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
I know you've got some stats on DIFC, etc. And it's just astonishing the growth. It's not just promises anymore. It's not just Dubai saying we're the biggest, we're the greatest, we're going to be the largest, etc. They're actually doing it, and it's happening. We are involved in this world that is growing so fast, exponentially, as they say.
We take DIFC, for example, Dubai International Financial Centre. Now, unofficially, we know that's the fastest growing financial centre in the world. And we know most of the people who are moving to DIFC, to work from DIFC, is people in Europe in finance, whether in London, Frankfurt, Paris, these countries where they're paying 40 to 50% tax. They know that they can move to Dubai, they can earn their $1 million a year, $5 million a year, and get paid that amount of money, and hopefully get their kids into a good school. But don't worry, they're building more schools, and then work for the next 5 years, maybe maximum 10, and then retire. And adding on to that, what you were saying about the new businesses here, we know that now that Dubai is one of the most popular places for startups. Now, this aligns with what we've said before. My two boys, they went to school here. They went to Jess Ranches. They went to Desk for their A-levels or whatever they did. They both left Dubai. They did their travels, Asia and Ibiza and Europe, etc. Now, the point I'm making is years ago, 3 out of 10 of the children used to come back to Dubai because they go back to Europe and, they'd find their jobs, etc. Now, 9 out of 10 of the kids come back. So they brought up in Dubai, they go and see the world, see that it's not quite as great as they thought it might be, get a little bit disillusioned with it, think, well, I could go back to Dubai, but is there opportunity there? Which years ago, you'd question, is there opportunity?
No. If you lost your job in Dubai 10 years ago, you'd leave.
Right. Now, you'd look for another job in Dubai. It's amazing. So all these startup companies, so it's across the board, it's finance, it's startups, it's the place where you get off the plane, where you go, I want to do things, I'm here to do stuff. Not like, let's sit back and see what happens and wait and see and let's all have a little cry about it. Dubai's just going forward.
Property. What have you seen recently that you've really liked?
There's so much going on in Dubai where it's obviously going to confuse people. I'm a massive fan of Dubai Islands and of Maritime City. Reason being, that's old Dubai. That's
not Rashid Johnson Marina?
Of course, yes. All right, we'll include the three.
Trilogy.
That trilogy, that area, which was old Dubai, which was, not a place you'd particularly visit.
It's like a regeneration zone, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a regeneration zone. Now, what we know is that with Dubai Islands, where they're going to have, obviously, the apartments and the villas, they're also going to have a golf course. But what we know is with the infrastructure going in, if you live on Maritime or DIFC, you'll be able to be at your desk in DIFC with your stressful trading job in less than 30 minutes, which also means when you leave your stressful job at 6 o'clock with your hair pulling out and you just want to, you're all over the place. I can remember that.
You've been there.
Yeah, and then I had the commute home, which was horrible. That person's going to jump in their car or their cab. They're going to be sitting on the beach within 30 minutes with a beer.
I think they could probably do it in less than 30 minutes with that new road that's just opened.
It's incredible, right?
Yes, probably 20.
So let's think about this. You're a 20 or 30 something. You're into finance. You're a broker. You're a hedge fund, or you're a banker, and then you're working in the city. Stressful job. City life. And then every time you leave work in the evening, you know that within the hour, comfortably, you can be sitting on the beach with your shorts, watching the sun go down. That is quite a life.
It's amazing.
Yes, and you can have that life in Dubai.
You can.
Now let's go to the other end of Dubai, because we can go back, talk about the middle, but we get bored with that. We can talk about Arabian Ranches or Dubai Hills, but then we go to south. Now what we've got going on there: Palm Jebel Ali, Expo, the stuff Emar's doing, and now Aura. Would you like to tell us about Aura?
No, you tell us about Aura. You tell me more about Aura.
Well, Aura. So what it is, when you look at Dubai, we've spoken about Dubai Islands first, which is literally that end of Dubai. And then we're flipping over to the other side of Dubai, where we know Dubai is going south towards Abu Dhabi. So we've got Palm Jebel Ali, which we know what that is, and we know what it's going to be. The best planned palm ever, because they've taken 15 years to plan it. You've also got Expo, which will be the city of the future. You've got the Emar developments, where Emar are putting their stamp on that area. And then just along the road in Gantut,
which is actually in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, is it the actual border, isn't it?
It's literally across the border from Dubai.
So
you're as close as you possibly can be.
So you could have a leg in both Abu Dhabi and Dubai. I'm not sure what you do with the other bit, but it just goes to show, as a location, now this developer...
And by the way, there are 6 or 7 kilometres of beach that they are developing from Jebel Ali, Palm, all the way to...
Yes,
Bain. It's called Bayn. Bain by Aura.
Yes, and
Aura's the developer.
And this isn't going to be your dirty looking sand. This is going to be your nice white, beautiful Caribbean sand.
About beach clubs and
So effectively with Aura, it's an Egyptian billionaire. He's very well known in some circles. Luke, our managing director, has stayed at one of his resorts in Egypt, which said it's one of the most amazing places he's ever been. We've spoken to some of our Egyptian friends. Every single one of them speaks very, very highly of this developer and their projects and what they do. And we see that development, which is going to be on beachfront, going back probably up to 500 to 1,000 metres.
And more.
So, but effectively what you'll be able to
It's probably
do...
a couple of kilometres.
In total, yes. The idea of the master community is you will have beach access, whether that's by a golf buggy or you're walking. You're going to be able to have beach access to a pristine new beach, which, as far as we're aware, you will have it in Dubai Islands in the future. But the only place you can actually do that is on the Palm, and it's very expensive to do it there. Would you agree?
No, I would. And I mean, the entry point is surprisingly low. I think it's looking at, what, 3.5 million dirhams for a house?
But yeah, the townhouses, they were talking from just over 3 million. They have actually been, we've been told they've been extremely oversubscribed, which doesn't surprise us.
So they're sold out.
Yeah, and we also know that they're doing some...
detached villas.
A lot of marketing, detached villas. There will be apartments in the future. We see that development is, we know, for instance, that in Abu Dhabi, a lot of finance people have gone to Abu Dhabi. You know, the wealth managers, there's the highest concentration of wealth managers in Abu Dhabi than anywhere else in the world. Now, a similar story to Dubai Islands. If I was working in Abu Dhabi and then I could drive, 40 minutes to Gantoot.
From where?
To live in from the financial centre in Abu Dhabi.
Yes.
To live on the beach, if you're lucky enough to get a house where it is a walk to the beach, I think that's pretty nice living. Now, if you live in Gantoot, of a weekend or of an evening, you've actually got the choice. You can go out in Abu Dhabi or you can go out in Dubai.
Yes.
Plus, they're also going to have the metro there and the Etihad rail there. So the connection there is going to be fantastic.
Agreed. A very exciting area. Very, very exciting. I mean, it's a long-term project. It's going to be going for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
But as you say, apartments, mansions, beachfront properties. They've even got a marina down there. They've got a 5-star hotel resort. Shops, schools, everything's there. It's like a little city. And people might say, oh, it's sort of far away from Dubai, but actually it's midway between Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And it's not that far from the new Maktoum airport, which is another thing we should mention that we've seen in the news recently, is that Dubai government has now recently, they announced that Maktoum was going to be their next big project in terms of airports, but now they've confirmed that DXB, the original old airport of Dubai, is now going to no longer be around in around 10 years' time. Everything is moving to Maktoum.
Yes, and this takes us back to Dubai Islands, because with Dubai Islands, which is obviously going to have a lot of nice property as well as the golf course on the sea, the main objection, like, people love Dubai Islands. We had a lot of buyers, and then the main objection was the planes going overhead every night.
The 380s.
The 380s every 90 seconds?
Yes. The smaller planes, I don't think bothered people. It was the 380s.
I'll be honest with you. When I went to Dubai Islands, I went there a few times. The planes personally didn't bother me at all. They wouldn't have made a difference to me buying there, but I knew they did.
Simon took his family down there and spent the weekend at one of the hotels that's already established down there, obviously. And he was saying that after about 2 hours, you just don't even hear them.
Yeah.
Well, obviously you can if you really try. You can hear them, but you just ignore them.
And I think as well, people forget. You know, I mean, if you live in downtown or you live in the marina, you know, you just have the white noise. You have a continuous noise, which is a different noise. But you know, you don't have that peace and tranquility.
I think you were the one that pointed out that Ibiza was quite similar.
For Dubai Islands, I mean, when we used to go to a certain club in Ibiza where the planes used to go over, we always used to sort of do a little dance and wave at them. Right. I just like the thought of doing that on Dubai Islands.
I don't think anything else is going to be similar to Ibiza, do you, in Dubai Islands?
I reckon,
apart from the beach.
I reckon Ellington Cove might be a bit of an Ibiza.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
That's going to be a resort living there.
Yeah. So any other properties?
Well, I think at the moment we're always on the lookout for like the next best project. I mean, we're great. There's certain areas that we're just general believers in.
I've been looking at that design district. Have you? Those waterfront properties in design district?
Yes. I mean, I'm interested in that area because of something that might be coming up in the future, which could be very interesting to us.
From one of our favourite developers.
Yes.
But also, I think this is a comparison as well. I've been looking at it today. This D3 Atelis is called. Right. D3, the design district. First waterfront properties there, looking over what is essentially the mangroves. It's looking over the creek, or what's it called, the Ras Al Khor, which is the head of the creek, and the canal, etc., plus the skyline of Dubai. I mean, the views are going to be incredible. And the apartment layouts are, well, I think some of the best I've seen. And it's not going to be cheap, but I think it's good value. And that's more important. Payment plan's okay. It's good developer, Miras. Yeah, really like that project. Very keen to see what happens in the next few days. And they'll probably sell out almost immediately. There's only around 300 apartments in the first building.
And they're launching this week?
They're launching, I think, at the time of recording tomorrow, I believe.
Yes.
And there's another one that I don't know if I've spoken to you about this as well. Have we discussed JVT and what's been going on there?
You know more about JVT than me, so do a little overview of JVT and its advantages, etc.
So JVT advantages for me are, there's a mall that is being built. It's Al Khail Mall. I don't know if it's going to be called that all the time, but at the moment it's called Al Khail Mall. It's not been opened yet. We are expecting it to be certainly fully operational by next year.
I was told that they awarded a 400 million dirham contract to a fit-out company to revamp all of the inside about 6 months ago. Yes.
That's interesting, because the mall itself is probably what's been built for about 4 or 5 years, I think. They've all the road systems already been done, all the flyovers and the entry, etc. But for some reason, the mall itself is not open next year.
What they now know is in that area, there's so much more footfall coming from JVC and JVT anyway. Now it makes business sense to open it.
Yeah. And there's more properties being built in JVT, but there aren't that many properties being built in JVT, which I quite like. So a lot of townhouses and villas, plus there's one line, it's quite a long line, about 2 or 3 kilometres line of towers and low-rise buildings. And I think that we are dealing now, Ellington's already got their building that's sold out. There's been a couple from a developer called Metrical, which we quite like. But apart from that, there's nothing really good there, except for these last 2 buildings, which have just been launched recently. One is called Sol Levante, and the other one is by Pantheon. And of course, FH, which I own in myself. Thank you very much. And I think it's pretty much sold out now, to be honest.
So I've lived in JVC, so I know what it's like. But can you tell me the difference? We know all around JVC they're improving the traffic problems massively. I mean, they're doing a good job. How good a job they can do, we don't know. But with JVT, what is the access like? Is it completely different to JVC?
No, I don't think it's completely different.
But it's easier and quicker.
It's easier. You can connect with Jumeirah Lake Towers, which is the DMCC free zone. I think the most successful and largest free zone in the world, I believe, DMCC. That's a very big office commercial area, and it's growing substantially and recently with Jumeirah Lake Towers and the Uptown area. That's expanding. There will be, I think it's being considered the financial centre of the south of Dubai.
Right.
I don't know if you can have a financial centre in the south, but you know what I mean. It's a centre where lots of people are doing finance and trading. Basically, it's a commodities trading centre will be happening in that area. And I think there's some really good projects coming up there. Ellington again have got something there. Palmer with Serenio's got something in JVT. In Jumeirah Islands, it's called Behind JLT, plus the So building and plus other buildings that are happening in Uptown. But then not everybody can afford to live in those buildings because they're sort of medium to high end. And then you've got a much more affordable buildings, which are literally 5 minutes drive away in JVT. Very well connected to that commercial area. And I see that as being a very big benefit. Plus, it's not that far from the new airport. What are we talking about? Personally, I'd rather live in JVT than I would in Dubai South. And even if I was working at the airport or any of the ancillary businesses that will open in that area, I would still probably rather live in somewhere like JVT or JLT, which for all intents and purposes, no more than 15 minutes drive away anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm much closer to the centre of Dubai and the restaurants and the cafes and the malls, etc., the big malls that we're all familiar with, like Mall of the Emirates and Dubai Hills Mall, etc.
In that area, interestingly, so Eva from Ellington is coming in tomorrow to present their new project in Jumeirah Heights. What Eva said to me, and by the time this goes out, and this project could have sold out or there might still be availability, but there's more to the story. And what Eva said to me is that this will definitely be a Ellington community.
Which is something. Well, they've done Belgravia Gardens.
They've got Belgravia, but
no gardens.
So Belgravia Gardens, but with this one in JLT, ever has said, like, wait till you see it and what they're actually doing. Because as we've discussed before, the developers who've looked into things, they've looked into Dubai, they've looked into the future. They're the ones who have been switched from the single buildings or single developments to the master communities, which provide everything. Ennington, Select, that's Omniat. That's the way they're going. So I'm actually quite excited for Eva to come in tomorrow, because she says, you wait till you see this project. And what I like about it is, as we know, traffic is going to be bad for the next 5 years. They will sort it out. But if you can avoid going up Hessa or Unsakim in the evening, it's great. So if you're in the JLT area, just to be able to get on the Sheikh side, however busy it is, it cuts down your traffic time immensely.
Yes.
So it is a project to look at.
Going back to JVT, as you say, the subject of this community, this fully enclosed community, that's what you're getting in these buildings that are starting to be built in JVT. Right. The Sol Levante, it's a community in itself. The facilities are incredible. The new project by Pantheon, again, enormous amounts of facilities. It's literally a building which you would probably never really have to leave. In fact, in both buildings, there is commercial. There's offices in the podium levels and retail on the bottom. So it's almost a little community in itself.
But you think about it, because if we fast forward a couple of years, what we're going to have in Dubai, but we know it's going to be different, but we've no idea what's going to be happening in a couple of years. But what we do know is there's going to be a lot of very nice apartments, new developments with really good facilities. So the competition in a couple of years is going to be so great. It's great for the tenant, because the developers know that if they want to get maximum rent, if they want to get their investors buying into their developments, the people who are going to be living there, they want their infinity pools, they want their proper gyms, like a pay gym, paddle courts, the barbecue areas, a nice landscape garden area. If they don't provide these in the future, a tenant's going to choose the building next door with the extra facilities.
It's just another building, isn't it? It's just another building.
So to have all those facilities on your doorstep, that will be the difference in a couple of years, because we are going to have much better, newer, nicer apartments in nicer buildings than what you've actually currently got.
And on that subject, well, it's not really that subject, but we discussed in the past a couple of times about the lack of larger apartments, 2 and 3 bedroom apartments. And I just wanted to make it clear, and I don't know what you think about this, is that doesn't mean that if you can't afford a 3 or a 2 bed, that you shouldn't be buying studios and 1 beds, because there are still some exceptionally good projects which have studios and 1 bedrooms in it. There are also some pretty bad projects out there that have studios and 1 bedrooms, and that's where talking to either Paul or myself or someone in our team, and we can put you straight as to why a certain building with studios and 1 bedrooms is better than another one with studios and 1 bedrooms. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's very important to differentiate. It's not that we're having a go at studios and 1 bedrooms and saying you shouldn't be buying them. We're actually saying you just need to be very careful about where you're buying. As with anything, whether it's a townhouse, a villa, a studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, or 3 bedroom, you need to be cautious, shall I say, and well informed. We go back to the playbook, of course.
And what I would say to that is that, what we do is we get the correct data, which we pass on. So we like to give it so we can give the facts. And as Stephen said, we were looking at all the different communities in Dubai, and we looked at a lot. We looked at Dubai Hills, Arjan, JVC, JLT, Marina, Business Bay, DIFC. So all of these areas for the breakdown of the studios, 1 beds, 2 beds, 3 beds. Now, the main purpose of that was that we identified there's going to be a shortage of 3 bedroom apartments and bigger 2 bed plus maids. Now, we're not, as Stephen has correctly said, we're not saying don't buy studios and 1 beds, because they're always going to be building studios and 1 beds because they've got a better ticket price and they're more affordable. Now, we know that if you bought a 1 bed in downtown with a view, we know that's going to perform very, very well. So a 1 bed in that area is going to do great. But if you just went to an agent and just said, right, I want to buy a studio or 1 bed anywhere, and they put you into some development in an average area with not particularly good layouts, not particularly good facilities, in the future, you're probably going to have a problem with that.
Yes.
That's what we're saying.
True. True that.
But there's still in every category, you know, if we get a buyer who only wants to buy a studio, or that's what their budget is, we will make sure that they buy the best studio, which is going to perform the best for ROI. That's still our job. As I said, all our facts and figures are just data we're giving to give a better picture and better knowledge to our clients.
I couldn't have put it better myself, Paul.
Thank you, Stephen.
No, really. Amazing.
So, Stephen, one of the things that we do get asked by our clients, because they look in the newspapers, they look on the internet, and they see all of this construction and these buildings, and they do talk about oversupply. Now, obviously, once again, we have the data and the facts. I'll just give you these quick facts. In 2005, the population of Dubai was 1.2 million. The population today is 3.9 million. And we know for fact by the Dubai government that there's 100 to 200,000 people moving here a year. Now, going by those figures, that will put the population at 5 million by 2030. Now, when you calculate that, they're going to need a lot of property. Now, we're not saying that they're going to, you know, there's a chance that they're going to need a lot more townhouses and villas, more than they're going to need studios and one beds. But with all the people moving to Dubai, we've done the figures and we've double checked the figures. The amount of people moving to Dubai, that will take up that supply, certainly in the bigger units. What's your thoughts, Stephen?
I agree. I think I read recently that 1,000 people a day were moving here in Q1.
Yeah, exactly.
2025. 1,000 people a day. And I don't know if that's net. I'm sure some people were leaving, but not many people are leaving. They'd be very silly to leave at the moment. Things are too good here. But again, I go back to this. You have to be cautious, because both of us have seen the good and the bad here in Dubai and in any property scene around the world, etc. And we have to understand that there is always a risk that things won't carry on the way they're carrying on. And that's where we step in as professional advisors in this world of property Dubai, that we have to try and show people that it's no good just looking at the ticket price and saying, oh, I'm just going to invest in that because it's cheap, or
it's got a good payment plan.
Or it's got a good payment plan, etc. We need to be looking at the detailed fundamentals of every project that's being offered. And what I mean by that is, yes, the payment plan has to be good. Yes, the floor plan has to be great. But is the value there? Is the price per square foot, does it match what you know that developer's going to release? And also, is there scarcity in that building or that project? So you don't want to be looking at buildings, or I don't think you should be looking at any building that's got 3,000 of the same type of apartments, or 2,000.
We use that as the example, Stephen. We won't say the developer, but there's a developer building circa 3,000 studios and one beds in one development. Now, this is all we'd say to this is, now you buy your studio or one bed. In 3 years' time, 5 years' time, you want to sell it, I can guarantee, and Steve can guarantee, there's always going to be someone in that building who needs to sell quicker than you at a lower price. Yeah. So the chances of you selling for a profit when you're competing with 3,000 units, which are all very similar, it's not a very good idea to have bought into that in the first place. I think that's what we're trying to explain.
Yeah, look, I'm actually quite sad that people are buying into these buildings, quite frankly.
I don't know what the pitch is to make it appealing to say to someone, look, you can buy a studio and one bed in here, there's going to be another 3,000. Brilliant. Why would that make you want to buy it?
People just look at the price and the payment plan, and they say, right, and the building looks amazing, the brochure looks incredible, right, well, I'll buy that. And the salesperson is saying, right, this is what you should buy. And if you don't buy today, it won't be here tomorrow, and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's not really the way that you should be buying property.
No.
And it's disturbing, because we're going to have to pick up the pieces of some of these people, because we're going to be around.
Fortunately, Stephen, we know that we do regularly get phone calls from clients who've dealt with other agents. They've bought with certain developers, I won't name them. They've been promised that they'll be able to buy and make the first 2 or 3 payments, and then flip it to make a nice profit. And we know that's pretty much impossible. So those clients are then coming to us and say, oh, can you just resell it for us? And we're politely saying, you know, the agent you bought that property with, who's told you these things, you should be going back to that agent. He should be reselling it for you and giving you your profit. Oh, but he's not picking up the phone to me. Oh, he's not answering any of my messages. So that's why I'm contacting you.
Yeah.
Now, we get that a lot in Dubai. So what we're trying to explain here is if you're buying with HausAndHaus, if you've got a problem in 6 months or 1 year or 2 years, Stephen, Simon, Paul, we're still going to be here. We're still going to be here to help you. The agents which are here for the 1 or 2 years to sell anything to make a quick profit, they're not going to be here, as you said, to pick up the pieces in 2 or 3 years. No. They're going to have made their money. They'll be living in another country.
And I'll add one more thing as well. There are some excellent developers out there who are also doing similar things. They are building buildings with too many of the same apartments and have thousands of the same apartments. And if you get into trouble, you need to resell, or you want to rent it out when it's being delivered, or you want to resell, the likelihood of you making money is far less, let's say. I'm not going to say it's not going to be possible, because it will be possible, but you're going to have to be fairly competitive on the price and on the rent.
Yeah.
That's it.
If you can buy anything in Dubai and it's got unique in the sentence, then that's probably a good buy, because it means that there's scarcity for it.
Yes.
You know, buy something which is well wanted and there's not many of them. I mean, I know it sounds plainly obvious, but it is obvious, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Anything else, Stephen?
I think that's it.
I think we covered a few things. Just to finish, make sure you read the playbook if you want to have more knowledge on Dubai. It's been an absolute pleasure to have a Stephen and Paul with you, Stephen.
I just want to tell you, I've written something here about the playbook. I just want to read it out to you.
Yes.
This is one of the most comprehensive, investor-focused real estate guides for Dubai currently in circulation. I truly believe that. It's clearly aimed at overseas investors, high net worth individuals, investors, institutional buyers, and first-time investors alike, offering something for every investor profile.
I agree.
Sorry, I just read that.
It doesn't matter, but that basically what you've just read explains what it offers.
Yes.
It offers all of that information.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be spending a lot of money, even if you're buying a studio or one bed, if you're buying a grand villa, read the playbook before you do anything.
Or a building.
Yeah. It's just, it's free as well. It doesn't cost you anything. It'll take you an hour to read it and you'll have a lot more knowledge afterwards.
Yeah, I actually read it on a plane.
Did you?
Yeah, when I was on holiday a couple of weeks ago. And I think it took me less than 40 minutes to read.
Really? There you go.
Yeah, and I read slowly.
40 minutes to make lots more money.
That's it.
Brilliant.
Amazing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks,
Cheers.
Paul.
Bye-bye.